What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Open Letters to a Survivor. I am your moderator, James, and we have the beautiful queens here. We have Lady Poet, we have Keysonda Williams, and we have Kay Love. What's happening, ladies?
Hey,
What's
what's
up?
up?
How y'all doing this weekend? How was the weekend for everybody?
Good.
Short.
Kay Love, I love Kay Love. So listen, everybody, we are glad that you all are here. It is a great show tonight. Hey, listen, we do not have a guest. We have an open discussion going on tonight, and I am gonna actually chime in there a little bit. I'm not gonna talk as much as the ladies, but I may have a few words to throw in. So I am going to kick it off to Lady Poet, and let's go.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Open Letters to a Survivor. So, as you all know, our series has been about grief for the month of September. And one of the many, grief can be a wide array of things. It does not just necessarily have to be a loss of life, it can be a loss of life, a loss of finances, a loss of a job. But today we're talking about something that's dear to my heart because I experienced this a lot in my life, and that's loss of friendship. And so, of course, before we get into our wonderful questions and we all speak on it to have an open discussion, we will go to Cassandра's letter for the week.
All right. And good evening, viewers. Once again, to our episode of Open Letters to a Survivor. And here we are with our letter for this evening. Dear Survivor, as a survivor, you've most likely experienced a major loss or multiple losses of various types of relationships that perhaps no longer served you in elevating the person you are, the person you want to become, and the life you prefer to live. Attributes we typically need are the sincerest forms of love, peace, harmony, and friendship. However, many times in moving upward and onward, we willingly or unwillingly lose what was once a valued friendship in our lives. Relationships of all types serve a purpose of being in our lives for a reason and for a specific season. I read a quote recently that resonated with me regarding relationships, which states, quote, not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some people aren't meant to stay in your life. Some people are just passing through to bring you something, perhaps a lesson you need to learn, or a memory that makes you smile years later. When the time comes, it's okay to let go and move on with your life, end quote. Oh, my friend, that it's okay to feel the loss and grieve the end of a friendship, but know that its purpose has been served and you will be the better for it. Feel what you feel, how you feel, whatever reasons you're feeling the way that you do. Get the support you need, especially if you're starting to feel overwhelmed by your loss. It's okay. Your feelings are fine, and so are you. Take care and be well as you elevate along your journey. Sincerely, Lady Poet Speaks, K Love, James, Tim, and me, Cassandra.
Yes, thank you. Your letters are always the best. I need applause after you get done every week. So I'm gonna start doing that. Woo woo! I need the whistle that Kim had that K Love had for my birthday when she had the whistle going. So I need one of those to every time. Because your letters good
Awesome.
every week. So I just love it. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. It looks like James dropped out for a second, but I'm going to go ahead with the first question. Cassandra, we'll start with you. Caleb, we'll go to you. James, will go to you, and then I'll finish. That's how we'll answer the questions for tonight, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry, I went to fix that sound. When I saw your message, and I'm like,
um, so, so I want everybody to try to keep the first question at least under about 5 minutes. 5 minutes at the longest. But describe a situation that led to a friendship loss.
Hmm. Um, I've had a couple, but I said I was gonna start out with the funny one. Like, I've had some friendship losses. I'm not gonna lie, I have not grieved them. Uh, they were lost, and they were lost for a whole reason.
Right.
But now, since we talking about the ones we grieve, because let's keep it real, they're not all grieving.
Right.
No, deuces.
Right.
Uh, but
That's not Cassandra.
um, so I just wanted to start with that. I'm not gonna act like every loss is a grievable loss.
Right.
Some of them are relief. Okay.
Right.
But I have experienced, and it's funny because it's been my recent experience, I think, with my kid's father, and realizing that, we were friends. We're friendly because we co-parent, but there's no, I had to cut ties as far as like relationship per se, between the two of us. And it's been just over a year. And I realized recently, actually, I think as we've been doing this month-long series, that I have and am I think I am going through some stages of grief because we started out as friends. And for 16 years, that was nearly daily, like, the same person in your life all the time. And so, in as much as I knew I needed to let that relationship go and leave it, I thought it was going to be easier than it was to just be like, okay, I'm out, like, keep it moving. And then, like I said, realizing like every day for the last 16 years, I mean, there have been some off and on moments here and there, but for what it's worth, I'll say 98% of the time, like, he was in my life. Like every day we were with each other, we spoke to each other, whatever it was. And so going from that to like almost cold turkey for a while there, for 4 months after I left, there was no contact. And so once we were back in touch, particularly for the sake of the kids, um, I started going back into some old habits, in terms of just like contacting him and talking to him. And it was easy for a minute, but again, I just had to realize like I got to do what's best for me and what serves me best. And so that letter that I read to you guys wasn't just for something to say, that's part of my life experience. And so knowing that I needed better and I could do better by way of how I was being treated and allowing myself to be treated in my life. Um, I had to let that go. And so it's hard. It's hard, to just act like it didn't exist. So that's a friendship for me that I'm grieving.
Well, thank you for that. And like I tell our viewers all the time, the letters we write are really advice that we give to ourselves, or they're letters of things that we should have told ourselves and didn't. So we just going back and doing those letters. So yes, so those letters are real because they speak from not only her heart, but from our hearts as well. So thank you. And Caleb, do you have a story about maybe the loss of a friendship?
Well, I'm like with Cassandra, a few, nah, no problem. Um, and maybe most recently, a friendship that ended. Um, you know how sometimes misunderstandings get exploded and get out of control,
Yes.
and you never get back to a happy place where you can have a conversation sanely and intact, to where y'all can muddle through the misunderstanding that just kind of imploded. um so I did have a friendship over a number of years, and I'll just chalk it up to, on this particular day, it just wasn't a good day for us to hang out.
Mm.
And it went from bad to worse. And some people never want to admit their role or their
Mhm.
part. in a toxic conversation, a negative conversation. They just want to point fingers as if they're the victim, and they got so much going on that you should just cater to their poor behavior and whatnot. And then you're looking at them like, wait a minute, we should be at a better place where we can have a conversation. If in fact something is wrong, but you never get that opportunity because they stayed stuck in their feelings. So you kind of let that go, and you figure whenever you're ready to talk and we can really sit down and have an adult conversation, then I'm open to it. But apparently they felt differently and have not heard from them in months since our last interaction, and it didn't even have to go that way. So it's kind of like you understand that certain people are in your lives for a season. Some people are not meant to stay there forever. And as hurtful as that is, when you realize that's the case, you just be like, okay, well, dang, my friend that I once had is no longer.
Right.
They have met their time to be in my life, and their time has now expired. And as much as it hurts and as disappointing as it may be, you have to accept it for what it is, especially when you know it's something that could have been fixed, but they weren't willing to participate in fixing the issue. So that was back in May of this year for me. It's recent, it's fresh, and it's disappointing because it's 2 decades, a relationship, a friendship of 2 decades, just down the tubes for nothing. So yeah, but others in the past, there's no grief necessary. It's you when you see the writing on the wall about how the relationship was one-sided or toxic, even though they're supposed to be your friend. They never root you on, they never support you in anything, but they are good at draining you. Whenever they need you for something, they expect you to be there. Whenever they want something from you, they expect you to give it. But then when it comes time for reciprocation, they have nothing to give you. So in those relationships, I'm good. I learned my lesson. I can take you to the well, but I can't make you drink. So if you don't really want to be a true friend to me like I've been to you, then I'm well with letting that dead dog stay dead.
All right. And James, we go to you. Briefly describe a situation that led to your friendship loss, and then I'll tell mine. And mine is piggybacking something on. Well, I got a few, but the main one is piggybacking on something that K Love said. So,
Damn K Love, I tell you. You know what? I think one of the key things, and I guess I'm a piggyback off of K Love a little bit too. Just as she said, everybody is not meant to be in your life. Some people are like, that the thing they say is people are there for a reason in the season. And some people are meant to be there, but everybody isn't. I have a couple stories, but I'm just going to do and the one I'm really going to speak on, of course, I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, but it really was more a working relationship that I thought was a friendship. That I'm pretty meticulous about who I bring into my circle and who I let in. So I felt that it was, definitely more than what it ultimately turned out to be. And, just in terms of, it's a lot of times it's hard working with people. It's hard working with people who you are seemingly, you feel like you're really close to, because sometimes you get taken advantage of. And ultimately, I just began to realize what I did not mean to that person. and certain things that were not done could have been done, and I just felt like some things were done purposefully. Unfortunately, a lot of times people want to see you fail, or they just don't want to see you rise above them. And I think it was more of a situation like that. And in the end, it really was just me walking away, because I'm beyond the point of fussing and fighting and arguing and doing all that stuff. I just will walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never existed, and ultimately that's what I did. I mean, I didn't feel any way in terms of the way that I handled it, because I did try to go to that person and set some time and say, okay, let's sit down and talk about it. And they brushed it off and, kind of spent me a little bit. So I just said, okay, well, just walk away. So, I just kind of left it at that. And the fact that they never reached out and said anything meant that I didn't mean anything to them anyway. So I just left it alone. No love lost. And, have a good life. So that's it.
Okay, so yeah, so just piggybacking off of all of you guys, I actually was in a friend group. You meet people and then you think that okay, we'll be in a group and we're gonna be friends and everything, we're gonna click, we're gonna support each other. There's nothing like women standing up for women and then being there for each other. And over a misunderstanding, something I feel like could have been fixed with a sit down conversation turned into losing a whole friendship. And then, I got made to feel like, well, I did everything wrong, which at the end of the day, I felt like if we could have sat down and talked, I think everything could have been fixed. And just having a conversation. But then, as because Sonda and Caleb both say, some friendships you need to leave, because if something as small as a misunderstanding can stop us from being friends, I question how strong the friendship was to begin with. So, especially like if we're supposed to be friends, you're supposed to know my heart. So if you know my heart is pure, then regardless of what you thought I meant or whatever, you would have defended and said, "Hey, I know her heart, and I know she's not like that," or, So I think in friendships, and that is one of our questions. We're going to circle back to that. But I think in friendships, you have to pick and choose. Is it worth saving or is it worth not saving? And then another one. And so you guys will always laugh when I say this, so go ahead and fall out. But losing a relationship with my husband, so I was I was married, and so I call him my husband because he was my husband. But we started off as friends as well, and then losing a relationship where you work so hard not to be what everybody thought, and that was divorce. And so now that I'm separated, all of that type of stuff, I think that that was a friendship I lost. Because like you, Cassandra, I'm used to waking up next to this person every day for 5 years, no matter if I want to wake up next to you or not. I was still waking up next to you every day and talking to you every day and doing what a wife's supposed to do and taking care of a household. So I think that was another relationship that I, felt like, it ran its course. So that actually leads me to my second question for everybody. Don't worry, there's only 5 questions. I didn't make a whole lot for everybody. So my second question for everybody is, how did the loss or the grief impact you?
For me, it was a huge impact because there was a lot of change that came with it. I got fed up. And it wasn't just any one moment, of course, not over 16 years, but an accumulation of things. And it was getting to a point of, I would say, being beyond what we would call toxic. Like I was at a point where I'm like, okay, I had told the popo, y'all gonna come back with a body bag. And I meant it. I'm like, and so it wasn't worth all of that, of course, not even. But once I said that to them and I realized in my heart of hearts that I actually meant it, it wasn't a threat, it wasn't an idle threat. I meant it. Like that's just how fed up I was. And I'm like, this ain't even worth it. Like, I'm not gonna give up my freedom for you. I'm not gonna live that guilt in life over harming or potentially, killing somebody, whatever. Like, nah, it ain't worth all of that. And I got 3 kids. Like, no. So with that, I was just like, it was the decision. I had already been contemplating leaving, but it was like, okay, I need a plan, and I gotta have this lined up and that lined up. And at this point, it was just, I gotta go. That's it. Point blank period. And I was I gotta go. That was the plan. And, I called home. I figured out that's where I'm going, and like, get your paperwork. I grabbed a bag of clothes. We out. Uh,
Right.
and so for me, it was necessary. Like we've been saying, that reason and season, it was necessary. Do I regret it? No, particularly because my kids came out of the relationship. Like you said, Amanda, which started as a friendship. So I can't say that I regret it at all. And I don't try to live my life in regrets. But were lessons learned? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I'm still going. I'm still here. But that's what it was for me. Like I realized, like I said, after the fact, in the moment, there was no love lost. Mm-mm. Once things settled, and like you said, the kind of, to some extent, some level of normalcy was reset in my life, and now I realize that this person, this relationship, is no longer there, because there were, it wasn't all downhill. There were good moments and whatever. And so, like, I think I started over dwelling on the times that weren't so bad, to make it seem like it was okay. And then the reality slapped me right back in the face when we started talking again. So yeah, I'm like, you know what? I got to keep this for what it is. We have to co-parent, and I'm cool with that, and just let it be that. So for me, it was a time of growth, and like I said, and I'm still going through it. So.
Right. All right. And so for you, Caleb, the impact that it had on you.
Well, for me, it was hurtful. It was very hurtful because it made me feel like all these years you had other thoughts, feelings, or motives, and when things weren't going in the way that you felt it should or the way that you wanted it to, it was easy for you to just throw it away,
Mhm.
over something small that could have been worked out. And then we could have talked about the future as far as the direction of our friendship, but it was understood. So I thought that we were really friends, and no matter what, we would always be friends. So for it to be just cut abruptly and bluntly for nothing, something petty, I I don't know. It for a long while it hurt, and I was disappointed, and it took me a minute to just really just let it go and accept it for what it was. So I don't know if I went through all the stages of grief necessarily, but I definitely felt the pain. I felt the disappointment, and I felt like, wow, what on earth was this relationship if it wasn't a true friendship? So once I was able to just grasp that this is where it is, this is how it has ended, then I had to move forward and just letting the relationship go and accepting the fact that it's over. And It took some time. Longer than I had anticipated. It took some time to accept that and get over the grief, the pain and the disappointment of a friendship that I had invested in, thinking that we were good, and for something so small and simple to just cut us off. And I had no part in that. I was still willing to be friends, still willing to work through whatever the problem was. But hey, let it go. I'm good now. If ever the person wanted to sit down and talk,
No, that's another question. No,
okay,
don't answer. Don't answer that yet.
okay.
Don't say-
Go ahead.
But that's it. Yeah, it impacted me to the point where I went through the emotions, I went through the feelings of grief, and then I went through acceptance and just took my hands off of it and said, "That's it."
Okay. And you, James?
Um, while it did hurt, just the same as K Love said, while it did hurt, I think that was the only impact that it really had. And I mean, not that that's not to minimize that, because it did suck, but I was able to move on, pretty easily. And it really brings to mind, what K Love was just talking about. Now it really brings to mind another relationship that while it has ended, I remained on the page of we obviously can still be friends.
That's another question. Don't go too far into it, because that's another question.
Yeah, I'm not going real far into it, but it's just and it sucks. Sometimes people aren't willing to do the work, so you just kind of have to go with it. But yeah, it did suck. It did hurt.
Okay, well, yeah, and so I feel the same way. Actually, with the friend group I was friends with, we were fine in April, so everything happened in May, so it's still kind of new for me. And one of the things about me is, like, I'm fine now, but one of the things about me is when I'm big on checking myself, because I know that I'm not always right. I'm not always perfect. I mess up. I probably mess up more than average person, but I'm good at checking myself when I do something. So it took a lot of self-doubt. When people like kind of shun you, you kind of feel like, well, did I do something wrong? Or, what can I do? And so the impact, to me, it hurt me. I cried for days, because it was like, not only did I lose one friend, but I lost three behind something that I feel was a misunderstanding. Something that I feel, well, I don't want to go too far, but I feel like it was a misunderstanding. And had everybody's emotions not been high, maybe the outcome would have been a little different. And so, that actually leads in right to our next question, which is the reason why I told everybody to wait. Do you feel that friendship or relationship can be restored?
No. Again, I think for the sake of co-parenting, we can manage that. But in terms of the two of us, no.
Right.
And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. It served its purpose, but no. Mm-mm.
I'm sorry. Go
Fine.
ahead.
Hey, sometimes
I
no
ain't
is
even
enough.
I'm not gonna hold you up. No.
Right. Your turn.
I want to say yes if we was to actually have a conversation. However, I feel like the relationship has shifted
Mhm.
So it will not be the way it once was. If we were to have anything,
Mm.
it's been, I don't want to say tainted, but it's definitely been um, redirected.
Mhm.
So I could probably take it or leave it at this point,
Mhm.
And like I said, if we were to continue, if we were to clear up the issue and say whatever we need to say to correct or resolve that issue that caused us to not be in communication anymore or operate as friends anymore, again, I would be well with that. It's kind of like closure, I guess. I would be well with that, and then I would be like, okay, you know,
Mhm.
if we see each other and talk to each other, fine. If we don't, I'm fine with that too, you know. So I would be open to have a discussion if they were, and then after that, we could go back to what we was doing. No, we ain't got to work hard on rebuilding the friendship because it's been altered, and I feel like I couldn't trust that we could
Mhm.
be back the way we once were.
Right. Your turn, Jay.
Um, I don't have any desire to fix it. Um,
Right.
once I'm done, I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, once I'm done, I'm done. There really is no restoration of anything because, as I really look at the whole situation, it never was what I thought that it was. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's no way to restore what was never there.
Mhm.
I don't need a conversation. I don't need nothing. Like to me, they didn't exist. Um,
Mhm.
and I mean, I've just moved on.
Right.
That's it.
So I'm actually on the same page as you because I know the type of person I am, and I don't care if I sound conceited. I don't care, but I know I got a good heart, and because I know that I have a good heart and I give people chance after chance. When I'm done, I'm done, and I might have given you more chances than you deserve, but I'm done. And
Mhm.
so, and then because of the disrespect, like when it was, when it happened, instead of it saying, okay, it's a misunderstanding, let's deal with it, I was called names. So you're not gonna call me names and then think that, okay, the situation is gonna be like it was before, because now I don't never trust you. Because now when my back turn, are you gonna call me a name again? When I'm at my lowest, because you felt like I was at my lowest, are you gonna call me a name again? So I feel like some things are not worth restoring. My marriage, no, I put up with way more than I should have in the 5 years, and I don't care. This is my platform, so if anybody watching it don't like it, you could kindly not watch it. I normally say like, comment, share, and subscribe, but if you watching it, you can unlike it, because I'm gonna be real for a minute. I was in a domestic violence relationship and with that person, and I felt like if it's toxic, it don't need to be. There was an age gap, and the person thought they can rule over me and put me in situations where I shouldn't have never been put through. So that can't be restored anyway either, because at the end of the day, I choose me now before I choose anybody else.
Mhm.
So that's the reason that can't be restored. And so, what, if any, steps have you all taken to heal from it?
I have gone to therapy. I'm still in it. It helps tremendously just to have that listening ear, those guiding questions, and somebody who doesn't know me, so they can't judge my end or his end or whatever. Is just allowing me to have my space. And then, like I said, giving me the guidance on, okay, here's where I'm at, here's where I want to go. There are some steps that I can take to get there. And so I get, exercises to do and things like that. And so for me, that's been tremendous. because it's been, like I said, a lot of change in various ways. But, of course, this relationship was one of them, and a core component for me. And so it's been necessary and it's been helpful. And that's why I said, this is my journey to healing. And again, when I close the letters that way, I mean it. I've been doing the Elevate work. I did a workshop for 9 months with Lisa Nichols. I actually have to finish up part of that program. And it's been tremendous. Just in like, even just helping me to kind of organize my life a bit. And focus on the things that will help to rebuild what I'm looking at. So just by way of relationships and finances and health and wellness and spirituality and all of those things. And so it's done a lot. And like I said, I'm still a work in progress. There's no end to it, but that's what's been helpful for me.
Okay, love.
Focusing on more positive things,
Mhm.
focusing on people who have shown themselves to really want to be in my life and be in the role that they're in my life.
Mhm.
I just redirect my focus on that. I too will be working on my therapy.
Mhm.
Because that's what we believe in, getting the help that you need to get through different things. And because this particular situation wasn't part of anything that I felt I needed therapy for, it just led me to realize some people just don't mean you any good from the beginning to the middle to the end. And I want to be in a better place where I can discern that sooner than later, So yeah, just moving forward with all the health things that I'm trying to accomplish for myself, being a better person, being well-rounded and healthy in every area of my life, and just focusing on that. Let bygones be bygones. Keep it moving. Keep it pushing. I survived without you before. I can survive without you now.
Yep.
So and that's it. It's bigger and better fish to fry than to worry about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. And you could go ahead, James.
Kind of the same thing, bigger and better fish to fry. I did not need like an extensive healing process or anything because by the time I cut things off, I was pretty much fed up. So, at that point, it was just like good riddance. So, I really have been okay. I mean, it's always a learning lesson, but it just lets you know, just like K-Love said, that everybody does not mean well for you. Some people don't want to see the best for you. Some people want to see you fail. And some people are miserable within themselves. So, they find ways to bring other people down because they're not accomplishing the things that they want to accomplish. And
Right.
the reality stands that nothing that I have done has been provided by this person. So it really was no loss to me, outside of what I thought was a friendship. But the
Right.
lesson was that it never was.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I pretty much was good. I mean, like I said, you do grieve the loss, for a few days, and then once that couple days passed, I was done. I was over. So
Right.
pretty much because I knew I put in everything that I needed to put in, and I knew that I tried to take the steps to mend or figure out what was going on or understand where the disconnect was. And, I took the step and the other person didn't take the step. So, I mean, I can't do nothing but move on. And to me, there's no healing from that. So, I just leave that be. Now, if I saw this person anywhere. I was raised a certain way, so I'm gonna be polite. I'm gonna say hello, how are you? And keep it moving. It's just like if I see somebody else, and hey, how you doing? And just keep it moving.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
Okay. Well, thank you. So yeah, so my whole incident happened on like a Monday. By Friday, I talked to my therapist about it, and I was good, by the next week. So it took me a little bit to get over, but I got over it. But I realized two things in the situation. One, it's kind of like James K. Love and you also said, Cassandra, is you can't, especially when you're in a point of healing, like you can't deal with broken people, and you can't put yourself back that way, because a lot of broken people want you to continue to be broken, and they don't want to see you. I'm not, don't get me wrong, I still go to therapy, so I'm still not completely healed from things, but when you heal from certain things, people want you to stay broken. And so though that was one of the things. And then secondly, you got to be careful what you pray for, because I prayed that, number one, God enlarged my territory, and two, that I asked him, and I say this all the time, but I asked him to protect me from my enemies, and I started losing family and friends. So at that time, you ask God to elevate you, but then you got to be ready for what that elevation might look like. And that elevation might require loneliness. That elevation might require people that you think in your corner being taken away from you. That elevation might require you to be in a grief season or a lonely season. So once I knew that, and I knew that it was still set up, I've been talking about alignment all year. And once I knew it was part of the alignment that God had for me, that where he was taking me, they couldn't go because they was bringing me down in the process, I was okay, because I'm like, okay, well, he got far better in store for me than a friendship that was gone anyway. So that's where I actually, started finding a healing for that. So thank you for that. And the last question is, and this one is a good one, but the last question is, what boundaries have you set now, so you won't end up in that type of friendship anymore or relationship? And then mine is funny, so I'm gonna tell you which is a boundary, but it's also a bad thing at the same time.
I'm laughing already because just because I know you. So go ahead.
I I think for me, it's been, and this was part of my reflection over time. I was like, well, what happened to my boundaries, right? Like I was always big on that, and I always thought that that I just throw them out the window. Like what happened? Because I allowed a whole lot to take place with him that I wouldn't have accepted from anybody else. So why did I accept it from him? And one of the things I've come to realize, right, is that in as much as we think boundaries are like set for everybody else, they're for us. And so in order for me to keep my peace intact, I have to know what I want, how I want to be treated. And then I had spoken about those boundaries, how you have them, you hold them, and you maintain them. And so it can't be just in spoken word or just written on a piece of paper or whatever the case may be. When a situation arises, you have to be able and willing to speak to it and stand on it. Like, this doesn't work for me because, and I'm not going to allow it. And if somebody can't respect that, then they're already showing you who they are, and you got to let that be, instead of trying to force that round peg into that square hole. Like, they don't want to do it. I'm not here to make you. You're grown. I'm not forcing you to do, but you are going to. I owe it to myself. Let me put it that way. To have my boundaries set and respected. And if you can't do it, that's cool. You're not for me, and I'm not for you. And that's just all there is to it. So coming back to self, I guess for me, is the boundary set. It's like, you know what you're willing to accept, you know what your values are. And being open about it, because I can sit back and just be quiet or just assume that somebody knows. You can't be mind readers and expect other people to be mind readers either. Speak it, say it. This hurts me because I don't like this, because I can't accept this, because I don't appreciate this, because. And sometimes people just don't know. You seem like you going with the flow. So why would they think otherwise? So yeah, so for me, it's been being vocal. You don't have to be nasty, but be vocal and stand on what you believe and what supports and protects you and your peace of mind.
Right. Okay, thank you for that. That was actually great advice. So I'm gonna throw a question in at the end, and that one I just want everybody to be short, but I'll do that after this question. So go with yours, Caleb. What boundaries have you established now?
Well, it took me a minute to really understand what my boundaries were. Um, Having lived to where people have had the opportunity to just do whatever, however, and flow in and out of my life as they so chose, I had to sit back and think, what do you really want? What do you desire? And do you believe you're supposed to have those things? And how are you going to acquire that if you yourself don't even believe you deserve to be treated better? So I had to take some time to do some self-reflection and adjust my mindset about myself so that I could figure out what my boundaries really were.
Mm.
And once I realized, well, in this particular situation or in this type of relationship, these are my boundaries. And then in this type relationship, because we got multiple relationships that require different types of boundaries. So I had to realize, well, what's the boundaries for my family? What's the boundaries for my friends? What's the boundaries for a new person, possibly a romantic relationship? So I had to sit down and really think those things through, understand what I've experienced already and what worked and what didn't work for me. And then I was able to say, okay, so I can discern and see when the fish come and it stink, that's fishy. You don't want that. So I had to literally go through those steps in my mind and make my heart, my mind, and my soul all line up and say, you deserve better. You want better. And so you first have to do better. And then you shouldn't accept anything less, no matter who it is. So that's how I figured out my boundaries.
I like that. If you want better, you first got to do better. So that was a tidbit. I just wanted to leave that for everybody. But, um, James,
Um,
what?
in terms of boundaries, I mean, given this was, more of a work related type of a thing, and just in terms of like me and my businesses, I really have come into a space where, if at all possible, I really just don't outsource a lot of stuff anymore. Like I will take on a task of handling the things that obviously that kind of messes with your time management and stuff like that, especially when you have a lot of things going on. So it takes a lot for me to actually, reach out to somebody just in terms of getting things done. And then, of course, I really take the time to really vet that person out and see what they're capable of and what their time looks like. If they're, really able to complete things. And if there's somebody who, works two jobs and has kids and has to do this and has to do that, and then they're saying, "Oh, I can do that for you." I'm like, I probably will pass. So I think I'm taking a lot more time to, really dig and see what they really have time to do and what they're actually capable of doing. Um, looking at other work that they have done and talking to other people who they have done work for to see, how things have gone, and that's really it. Yeah, that's really good.
Okay, so the boundary, one of the biggest boundaries, I always laugh because everybody went from green flags to now red flags. And so one of the boundaries I set for myself is to stop hanging red flags up like birthday banners. So if I see red flags, I got red flags too. But if your red flags outweigh your green flags, baby, we can't have a party no more. And so I used to be in one of those moods. Well, maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll this. Maybe they'll that. Giving people the benefit of the doubt. But ain't no benefit of the doubt because the first time I meet you is your elevator speech, and if your elevator speech is wrong, then you gotta go exit stage left. So that's how I feel, and I think that it's a good thing that now I see red flags, but it's a bad thing because I see too many red flags. You breathe funny up, nope, I'm gone. Uh, but that's in relationships. Friendships is a little bit different, but you breathe funny up, nope, I'm gone. You text me and your text is off. Up, nope, I'm gone. Bye bye. Like I just I think that it's just because I spent so much time being a caregiver for people who weren't caring for me, and I'm not gonna continue to let that be one of the things that I'm gonna do. I can't fix broken people, and broken people can't fix me. So I'm not gonna do it no more. So um I think with that being said, is Tim on or no?
No.
Okay, so I just want everybody here, if you could leave a few words, maybe a sentence, maybe two, to somebody that's dealing with grief of friendships, what would your advice be to them? And that's going to be our encouraging word for today.
My advice would be you can't be a greater friend to somebody else than you are to yourself. So you have to know what you're willing to accept across the board, because there are some things like Caleb spoke about. We have different relationships, but there's some things that cross every relationship that you're not willing to accept. And that includes even from yourself. You can't down talk yourself. So don't let anybody else do it. Don't bring all that negativity into your life. If there is no peace, say it again.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just letting Amanda go.
There's no peace.
Tim is on
for a reason.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Well, then, K-Love, we're going to let you go, and then we're going to bring Tim in at the end. But I think your words are good, too. So thank you, Cassandra, because I know we got to wrap it up in a little bit. But, K-Love, if you could give, and then, Tim, I know you probably can hear me, but when you do it, and I want you to encourage somebody, too, who may be going through grief that may have lost friends. So that's the encouraging word. So Caleb, what would your encouraging word be?
First off, know thyself to be true. Be true to thyself. In other words, you're your number one stunner. So you're your number one cheerleader. If nobody else comes for you, you come for yourself. So if they can't meet you where you are, if they can't stand up for you, stand in the gap for you, if they can't speak how you would speak, meaning they know you well enough to say, oh no, they would say this, or they would do that, or they wouldn't do this, or they wouldn't do that. They haven't invested enough time. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to let people go. Don't feel bad about it, because you have to live your life. And if they can't ride on the same boat as you, drop them off, baby. Let them go.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for that. That was some nuggets. So y'all been dropping nuggets today. I'm proud of y'all. All right. James, what would your encouraging word be?
My thing is find peace in the person that you are and the spirit that you are. And determine what is acceptable for you, what is not acceptable for you, and then stand strong to it. Do not let anybody do or present anything to you that you feel is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you follow that, I think things will go well.
Well, thank you for that. And so mine is, not every loss is a loss. Sometimes God is trying to take us where He can't take everybody else. So when people start falling off, don't look at it all the time as a loss. Look at it as God is elevating you, and He's putting you in a season where He needs you to depend on Him and not those people you was holding on to as a crutch. So
Mhm.
I would say that when you don't know what's going on and you think you're doing everything right and you being a good friend, just know that maybe God is trying to tell you something, basically. So before we do that, I wanna close the show with Tim, but Caleb, do you have any other spotlight information or anything today? If we
Yes.
can go ahead and we could just skip spotlight for today.
But however you want to do it, because it's our usual.
So
Tim
I am
Bynum, he's an
having technical
entrepreneur.
difficulties hearing you guys. So if you can hear me, just keep going. You can end with Tim. I'll be right back.
Okay, so as usual, we have our spotlight and we are celebrating Tim coming out with his line of accessory line called Righteous Brothers. So you can check it out on right.brothers216 on Instagram. Look right, feel right, stay right. Brother
You
Tim will
love
be
saying
on.
that.
Huh?
I said you love saying that.
I do. I don't know why, but I do.
It sounds good, so I get it.
And
All
real
right,
quick,
let's welcome Tim.
let's get Tim on
Oh,
in
go ahead.
here. He can
Oh, let
no,
me
we
get
can bring Tim on in. He can talk more about his clothing line after he gives us our motivating minute.
We can't. Okay, here we go.
There he is.
How's everybody doing today?
Hey
Yeah.
Tim.
How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. Not gonna keep you all too long. Just want you to stay encouraged and know that trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to your own understandings, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he'll continually direct your path. We all have different seasons, we all have different obstacles, we all have different plans that the Lord has in store for all of us. But I want you to know whatever God has for you, it is for you. No one can take what God has in store for you. It's up to you to trust in the Lord. That's why the scripture says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on anything else that the world may be telling you. Don't lean on what people may say, because some people may be negative towards you. That's why sometimes you got to leave people where they're at. Because sometimes some people's in your life are certain seasons. And some people's in your life are this season. It's up to you to trust in the Lord, allow God to lead you into the right path for you. Whatever God has for you, it is for you. And it says in the third chapter of Revelations that God opens a door that no man can close, and He closes a door that no man can open. Sometimes what you did last year was supposed to be for last year. Whatever this year is supposed to be for this year, and God will open that door that no one can close. But you got to continually trust in His will, trust in His plan. I want to end with this story because in March I was hosting, and sometimes the goal that you may have may be different from where the Lord wants you to go, and sometimes the Lord has the same goal for you. You may be planning on to have it now, but the Lord says no. I need you to mold you a little bit longer so you can get it later. Because even with me, I was scheduled to preach in March, but a lot of things was going on. I was supposed to be engaged. That the wedding got turned off. I was I was supposed to be preaching, and then I was experiencing a bad I was in a bad road rage experience. So the
Mhm.
Lord set me back, set me down a couple times, for a few months, just to get my mind right, and then so I can be ready to do the plan He has in store for me. And I just want to let you all know that sometimes you need to sit down for a few times for a moment to process things to get better, so you can elevate into the next step. Continually trust. You ain't nobody can take what God has in store for you. Whatever is that's in store for you, it is for you and you only. And I just want to also touch on the clothing line, and I gave you all the wrong date. I thought I can have it ready by November, but I just in process of I just ended up moving and some minor hiccups along the way. So I'll be actually launching in December, right before Christmas on December 16th. I think that's the best time to launch it because it's Christmas time and people want to get their gifts, and that'll be the perfect gift for somebody. So it's actually December 16th, 2024. I'll launch my very first clothing line, men's accessories. And I got to update that Instagram account as well to show you also a brochure of what I'll be selling as well. So I thank you all. And like Kayla said, you'll stay right, you'll be right, you can grow right.
Ah!
All right. We like that. And we gotta have you on for our Christmas time gift season. So just make sure you got it ready so we can have you on as
Oh
our
yeah.
special guest to, let
Yes.
the world know we got some men accessories for y'all. So
Yes, for sure.
well, thank you, Tim. Regardless of what you're doing, you always take us to church and we appreciate it. So
Oh, I appreciate y'all. To God be
what
the glory.
all the time. God is good. But thank you for everything. We're going to close tonight's show. Is there anything else anybody want to add before we close the show? Just don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We love you.
Right.
Next week, we're going to close our grief series. And thank you all for tuning in. Bye.